Everybody's mics on? Cool. All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Councilwoman Cuellar, if you'll be so kind.
Yes. Let us pray. Loving Father, we take time out this day to give you many thanks for the blessings that you bestow upon each and every one of us, and also bestow upon our beloved city. Lord, we ask that you send forth your Holy Spirit to lead and guide us. We seek your guidance. We seek wisdom in the decisions that we're making this evening. Lord, may everything that we do always be in the best interest of our city and in the residents that have elected us to represent them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Well,
So I just want to start this meeting by saying thank you. Obviously, it's a packed house. I was asked to make one announcement before we get going. Typically, the Zoning Board of Adjustments, ZBA meeting is typically held, sometimes in this room. They are meeting in a different room. So if you are here for the ZBA, you are in the wrong spot. So since I don't see anybody hopping up, I'm going to assume that everybody is here for this council meeting. Okay. You're welcome. That being said, roll call. Councilwoman Cuellar.
here.
Councilman Box.
Here.
Councilman Sims.
Here.
And myself, present as well. Councilman London is absent. All right. We'll give everybody a moment. All right. That being said, I would look for an approval of the minutes from the regular city council meeting on January 3rd, 2023.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes of the regular council meeting on January 3rd, 2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
One
I was
abstention.
not here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Noted. All right. With that, I would ask for an approval of the current bills for payment.
Make a motion, we approve the current bills of $614,074.69.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. All right. Now we would look for any professional or consultants to give us a report this evening. Any professionals or consultants for a report? All right. Mayor Stewart, you have the floor.
First of all, I'd like to say good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
Dave?
Let me say that one more time, see if you all could be a little bit more enthusiastic about it. I am glad to see everybody in the room tonight. How glad are you all to see me? As I was announced at one of the events last week, I am the James Douglas Stewart Jr., Mayor for the City of Irondale. I'm glad that you all could be with us tonight and that we're going to have a very exciting, exhilarating council meeting. I've already prayed for it, so I know everybody's going to be on their best behavior. But before we get started with the meat of our meeting, we had a contest to allow citizens to be able to submit their applications to celebrate Martin Luther King's holiday by actually doing a serve project for the city. Everybody's very familiar with Dr. Martin Luther King. If it wasn't for Dr. King, I probably wouldn't be in this spot right now as the mayor for the city of Irondale. So I really pay homage to him for all of the things that he's done to be able to help us to be able to have the right to vote, as well as to be able to have equal accommodations, just like everybody else in America. So what we decided to do is to celebrate his holiday because he was a man of action and he was an individual who believed in service. Yesterday, my service project was to be in Selma, Alabama. I was down there helping out the tornado victims there. And it was very tragic, very bad situation that was going on down there. I really did want to stay at home for the holiday, but I said to myself, Self, you had a contest about service. This is your opportunity to be able to do that. So I went to Selma to be able to help them out. Also, we're having a Serve Selma. We're asking individuals that during the next week, if you have extra toiletries, tarps, gift cards to Walmart, Home Depot, or Lowe's, even if you want to bring a sheet of plywood, we'll take that as well. But those were some of the things that they were asking for. Those are some of the things that they really need to be able to make it through this time. Am I my brother's keeper? I think that's Genesis 9:6. I would say that I am. One of the mayors said to me, it may be our time this time, but it may be your time in Irondale the next go round. So would you all please keep them in your prayers? And if you have any of those things that I announced, I think Emma has some flyers, and we will be accepting those things here until January 24th. And I plan on going back to Selma next week and taking those items to them on the behalf of the city of Irondale. Okay, I'll go ahead and announce our first winner. The project is called the 5S Projects, Seniors Serving Seniors, Sick and Shut In. And this project is to be able to provide the basic necessity of life, which is food, to those who are shut in and do not have the ability to be able to get out and to provide for themselves. The individuals that's a part of this project is Ms. Carol Dangerfield, Brenda Jones, Claude Perry, Sonora Lockett, Pam Carter, and Lauren Stevens. Is anybody in the room to be able to represent that group? We're here. All right, if you all come on down.
On behalf of the group, the 5S Project, we want to thank Irondale City Council, the foundation, and the mayor for accepting our proposal, and we hope to spread joy to some of the seniors that are sick and shut.
Real check is in the mail. Okay, our second award winner is the Wildflower and Butterfly Garden. And this is creating a community garden down in the Bend. Is anybody here to represent the Bend? All right.
Y'all representing your shirts, too, okay?
These three individuals are also graduates from the Citizen Engagement Institute. Twice a year, we have an institute to be able to teach our citizens how to maneuver through municipal government. They are graduates from the last class. By the way, we're getting ready to have our next class. Thank you all for wearing your shirts. February 16th, 6 weeks. Graduation, get served food every night. We do have a chance to be able to interact with all of the departments in the city of Irondale, fire, police, public works, seniors, sports. you get a chance to be able to get a presentation from those individuals to tell you exactly what they go through on a day-to-day basis. We're taking applications. I'd like to see everybody in this room because not a lot of you all that was in the last few classes. So I'm looking forward to having a full class and citizen engagement.
Well, we appreciate it. Sorry, money by starting down First Avenue. It's a vacant lot and it really needs to be taken care of. Thank you.
Okay, the next award goes to Eric Clem and Pam Houston from Arc Landscape LLC. They were not able to make it tonight, but they are going to redo the brick on 20th Street. You know where we have the sign there that have the names where people donated stuff, and it's the stone brick that's right there in the median. They are going to, that's their project, to be able to beautify the city and to be able to rehabilitate that area. And last but not least, Operation 911 address plates. This is an idea that was formulated by the fire department, but Mr. Claude Perry kind of took it among himself to be able to provide reflection plates in Holiday Gardens. So when the fire department or the police department is called out to an address, if you don't have your address on your box, guess what? It's kind of difficult for them to be able to figure out who it is. And also at night, if it's not reflective, then they still have a very difficult time. So Claude has taken on the project, Holiday Gardens, the largest neighborhood in the city of Irondale, to be able to provide the reflective plates to the citizens in Holiday Gardens, along with my play mother, Miss Williams. So if you all will come down. And Lieutenant Brasher as well.
Anybody else?
Paul Perry, speak for the group.
Being in attendance tonight. We hope that this project will be vital to the community. To make it short, I will speak a little slower so it'll seem long. But anyway, this was planned with Lieutenant Bratcher for the 911, as the mayor explained earlier. We hope to implement this program as soon as possible. If you're not from the Holiday Gardens area, please consider going to the same. 911 is an emergency. When you look at not yourself, but your neighbor. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Reverend. All right, Council President, I just have some short announcements I think everybody will be interested in. Starting January the 23rd, if you don't have the recycling can that has been passed out by the city, guess what? We won't pick up your recycling. If you have a problem with that, please call Frank Pennington at at 205-951-1420. But beginning Monday, we will be using the official blue trash cans. If you signed up for recycling, that is the only way that we will pick up your recycling. People want to know, what do I do with the little blue can? You can do whatever you want to. You can keep it. You can use it around the house, but we don't want those cans back. But I am encouraging everybody to use the new 64-gallon recycling blue can starting on Monday. Also on Monday, we're asking you to download our beta app. The City of Irondale will have an app that will be in the beta stage. We're asking you to download that on the 23rd. This is the app right here. And if you have any suggestions that you would like to make, please send those suggestions to Irondale app at cityofirondaleal.gov. Again, that is Irondale app at cityofirondaleal.gov, or you can contact our city clerk, Ms. Lee Allison. Also, on Thursday, January 26th, we're having a meeting here in this room. We're convening a focus group to talk about what you would like to see in the new proposed library that's going to be built on Grants Mill Road. That's on January the 26th. We're only taking suggestions about what you would like to see in the library. If you are coming to complain about the location, please do not come to the meeting. That train has already left the station. $900,000 worth of a train has left the station. So we're not talking about the location. We're talking about the amenities that you would like to see in the brand new library. Also, I think I've already mentioned that if you go to the website and if you would like to be a part of the Citizen Engagement Institute, the 4th class, you still have time to be able to sign up for that class. Also on February the 24th, please come join us at the Irondale Civic Center to celebrate with us the Irondale We Got Game. Join Mayor and the Council for a community game and movie night Friday, February 24th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Irondale Civic Center, better known as the Old Zamora Temple. Some of the games that will be played is bingo, card games, Monopoly, Go Fish, dominoes, Uno, checkers, cornhole, ring toss, Connect Four, Candyland, headbands, scramble, and more. We will definitely love to see you there at that event as well. And finally, we are having a 2023 Black History Month Art Challenge. The theme is Change We Can Believe In. We're asking all of our students in high school, elementary school, middle school, that if you have an essay, poetry, a painting pertaining to or about Black History Month, we would like for you to be able to submit that by February the 17th. The winners will be announced on February 21st. And if you are a winner, you will receive a new Amazon Fire tablet. And really my last announcement is this. I have a meeting with Jefferson County about Grants Mill Road. We meet on Thursday. I will put out an update hopefully Thursday, but no later than the weekend, to let you know what's going on with Grants Mill Road. Thank you, Council President, for giving me time to be able to present these things to our citizens. And I turn it back over to you.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we would look for any department head reports. Any department heads? Fair enough. We'll go ahead and move into our council member reports. I'll go ahead and start. Really the only thing, just to piggyback off of the mayor around recycling, we always like to talk about the contamination rates because that obviously drives costs and everything like that. And it's something to strongly consider, which was a big part of why the grant that was worked on by our city clerk and public works to get these cans. So our December contamination rate was 30%. That's a couple of degrees down from where it was the month prior. I'm going to just make a leap and say that January will be better because those cans will be basically fully utilized. So contamination rates are still running about 30%, but I'm looking forward to kind of really driving that metric down as we move forward with the implementation. That's all I have this evening. Thank you for joining us. Councilman Sims?
Welcome, everybody. It's great to see a full house. I'm glad I had a seat saved. I don't really think I have anything, just definitely take part in the Citizens Engagement Institute if you've not before. I think it's great that we offer that, and hopefully we can get more citizens to go through that every year, and that's all I have.
Councilman Box?
I'll be redundant on the welcome from Councilman Spivey and Councilman Sims. I won't be redundant on the citizen engagement. I didn't say it's a great thing. And recycling, I do like the idea. So any of my neighborhoods that are interested in the address placards, please contact me. I will try to jump on board with Holiday Gardens and help our neighborhoods out along with that as well. Also looking for any of our neighborhoods that want to form a neighborhood association of sorts. Our neighborhoods in District 4 are a little bit spread out, but would like to try to form some type of associations between everybody for get-togethers. That's all I have.
Fair enough. Councilwoman Cuellar?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I do want to extend a thank you. I received several calls and emails from residents in my district that were wanting to be a part of the recycling program. So thank you to the Public Works for getting those recycling trash cans out to our residents. I can't say enough about Public Works. They're a great group of people, and I'm very happy to see that we have more residents that are wanting to take part in recycling. I just have a couple of questions on, I think it's great we're having a focus group for our new library. Mayor Stewart, where is the focus group and what time?
It's going to be in this room at 6 o'clock.
Okay, 6 p.m. And I also like to celebrate, we got a game. What time will that be taking place?
What was that, Councilwoman Cuellar?
At the city civic. Join them. You extended an invitation to our residents to join you and the council for We Got a Game.
6 p.m.
Great.
to 9 p.m. The 24th, February 24th.
Right, February 24th. So for those of you that are here, it gives you an opportunity to come to our Irondale Civic Center and take part in games. We look forward to seeing you there. 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. on the 24th. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we would look for any reports of any boards or non-council committees. Any reports from any boards or non-council committees? Fair enough. All right, so just a little bit of housekeeping. We obviously have a big crowd, I imagine. Since we have a very slim agenda, but we have 3 public hearings, I can only kind of infer of where maybe the attendance is coming from tonight. So for anyone who hasn't participated in this process before, I know I see a couple familiar faces from our planning and zoning meeting the last Thursday of the prior month. So if you haven't been through this process, what we're going to do is we're going to open each public hearing with a motion to do so. We will ask the person that's presenting the item to come forward, and we will have the opportunity to ask the presenter some questions. And then at that point, once we're satisfied with our questions and answers, then we will go ahead and open it up to comments for or in favor of the rezoning. And then once that is played out, then we will ask for anybody that is not in favor of the rezoning. And then once we are finished there, we will close the zoning case and we will move on to the next. We have 3 of them. Okay. We'll do the same process over 3 times until we get to the end of it. And then we will move forward with our deliberation on other agendas, items that are not cases. Fair enough. If you choose, after your zoning case is over and you choose to leave, be my guest. We will, if you're here for one reason only and that's your reason, then and you want to leave, that's fine. We will leave a little bit of space after each case if it needs it for people to exit. That being said, I'm probably forgetting something, but we're just going to go ahead and get into it anyways.
Quick point of order, Council President.
Sure.
Does the city clerk need the names of people that are going to speak?
Thank you very much, and I appreciate that, and I believe that was one of the things I was forgetting. This young lady right here, Leanne Allison, she is our city clerk. She will need names and addresses for the record. So if you haven't filled out a sheet, I'm going to ask you to clearly state that before we begin. Also, since there are a lot of us, here. Obviously, an issue is important to you. We do want to hear from you. If the comments begin to get overly redundant, we'll probably begin to slow that down or probably ease off on it. And at some point, if it's continuing to be redundant, I might ask for a show of hands for the record. Okay. Same goes with the twos. Is this a procedural question, Mr. Bearden? Sure. I typically impose a 2-minute. We want to hear from you. I don't like to use the 2-minute timer, but if I have to, I will. So if I do shut you down, it's because the 2 minutes has elapsed. Thank you. Any other point of orders or anything we need to be considering since we have such a packed room?
Thank you, Council President.
Fair enough. All right. So we'll go ahead and get into it. Public hearing number 1. The City Council of the City of Irondale will hear comments from interested citizens for a change of zoning from C1 Commercial District to an institutional I2 district for the property located at 601 St. Patrick's Circle, Irondale, Alabama 35210. Motion to enter a public hearing.
Motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And so before we bring our presenter up, from what I understand, this is a piece of property that is behind the Waffle House and the old Regions Bank, just for anybody who's wondering where St. Patrick's is. Do we have anyone to present this case to us this evening? Please come forward. Yes, ma'am. You have the floor. If you could just introduce yourself, give us your name and address.
My name is Sandra Macon, M-A-C-O-N, and I live at 1644 Sixth Place Northwest, Birmingham, Alabama, 35215.
Can we get the mic adjusted, please?
Do I need to say it over?
No, you're good.
Okay, okay. First of all, I like to start out as I was a foster mom for like 25 years. I worked for with AmSouth Bank, now it's Regions Bank, for 23 and a half years. I took early retirement because my mom got sick with cancer. So I took care of her until she passed, which was 2005. And to see how people treat you when you're sick or in the hospital, I decided to get into group home. I've been in the group home now for about 3 or 4 years. What happened was I left a group home that I was leasing. It was already zoned and licensed. I moved to Irondale. Well, when I got to Irondale, Jefferson County, it was a C1. What I was doing was approved by there. I didn't know that Irondale had a different municipality that I had to go through. So I decided to go with what they say do. I went and got my background check, and I was fingerprint. I went to Montgomery to do that. All of a sudden, that got lost. So I had to go back and pay another $25 to have it done again. Then they told me I needed license for Irondale. Well, I filled out the application, which I have all my facts here. I filled the application out for Irondale. All of a sudden, that got lost. But just so happened, where I faxed it, I kept my copy. So that got lost. Well, I was on to do a meeting on December the 15th. Nobody informed me I didn't get a letter to come to speak. Just so happened I went down to the waterworks and talked to Miss Kelly, and because I was supposed to be on in November, but they told me that was full, so December. But I never got a letter. So I decided to go down to the waterworks. She said it was posted on the board. I have copies here, what they post on the board, that sent me to Grants Mill Road, which no such address. So that was another wild goose chase. And I'm just wondering, all these things that are happening, what's really going on with this?
Ma'am, I'm
people
going
that I
to ask you to stay on topic and present your rezoning case. I understand you might be building towards something, but we want to hear about your rezoning, your proposed usage, things of that nature.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. we got evicted because they said we moved in and we didn't have the license. So they know where the license is going. But my thing is to take care of the elderly. I want this group home to be just like a 5-star hotel, and that's what it looks like before we moved out. But the thing that happened was when I talked with the inspector, Cochran and Doss, Mr. Doss, we had a meeting with them. They told me what all needed to be done. I was willing to do that. But they said, don't do nothing until you see that you're zoned. They're just throwing money away. So this is where we are right now.
Perfect. So you're looking at an elder care facility, an elder care home? That's
it's
your
like
proposed use?
Yeah, it's like a senior, and they are here. Would you raise your hand? They are here today. They are not mental. They're not drug addicts. They're not really retarded. We don't do walkers. I don't take people with walkers, wheelchairs. I don't take any of that. I screen them before they come in. No sex offenders or anything. They just need somewhere to go.
Fair enough. And I know that I've heard some of your presentation because I was at the PNZ, but if you hear me asking a question, I already know the answer to. It's for the benefit of the group and the body.
Okay.
You have how many rooms, bedrooms and bathrooms in this facility?
I have 10 bedrooms and 5 baths.
10 bedrooms, 5 baths. And you have how many people that you are taking care of?
I have 12.
Okay. The improvements that were asked of you, obviously we haven't done those yet because to the comment of don't do it because you could be throwing money away. And you would be leasing this property, is that correct?
Leasing it for 1 year, and
Okay.
I should buy it in July.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Any other thing about the rezoning case specifically that you care to mention to the body or the dais?
No, I have my the contractors that we met with, Mr. Doss and Mr. Cochran. The contractor electrician, already have them lined up. We're just waiting to
Okay.
be rezoned.
Fair enough. Thank you. Councilwoman Cuellar, do you have any questions for this young lady? If you could hold for a moment.
This property, it's the house that's behind the Waffle House?
Yes, it's the only one back there.
Okay, thank you. It's the only question I had.
Councilman Box?
What certifications do you have medically for elder care?
Well, we have a nurse that can come in, take blood pressure, whatever she needs to do. I'm familiar with CPR, first aid, all that. I'm familiar with that. And we are affiliated with different members of hospitals, especially ones that go to my church. They help out my pastor, Reverend Thomas Beavers. So we are all there together.
Okay, very good. No more questions.
Councilman Sims?
You answered, I think, most of the questions I had. So I guess once the zoning gets changed, if it gets approved, you will do the work required from the city inspector and whatever that is. And at that point, do you have everything required that you can open back up?
Yes.
Can I?
mean-
just
Yes, ma'am.
Redirect. Did you look at some other locations throughout Irondale where you could provide these types of services?
No, none of that size.
Thank you.
And I think you're probably talking about the zoning in the area that surrounds
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That was one thing that was identified at planning and zoning is that it doesn't fit inside of the existing zoning. So that
Right.
was one thing we struggled through at P&Z. There. I do not have any more questions for you. Thank you very much. Being the fact that you mentioned that you lease it, I would ask, is the property owner here to represent the case at all?
No, he told me that he couldn't make it
Okay.
tonight. We
Okay.
had a little disagreement, but we got it straightened out.
That sounds ominous. Fair enough. Well, thank you very much. That concludes my comments as well as yes, sir, Mayor.
I just wanted to add that when this case came before the Planning and Zoning Board, it was voted unanimously to deny the rezoning.
I was about to ask that.
Thank you.
Appreciate the clarification.
My apologies for not mentioning that. Thank you, ma'am. All right, at this time, we will take any comments for the rezoning. Any comments for the rezoning? Any comments against the rezoning? All right. Yes, sir.
My name is Christopher Metcalf. My address is 1112 Grants Mill Road. I'm against it, not because of for doing the group house. I mean, it's a good idea, but in that property thing, to take all that property is in the C group thing, and to put an O in there is like putting no one can develop around that thing for years. You know, you're putting something in there that basically anyone else could put another home in there. I do feel sorry for the lady for taking it on, not really investigating it thoroughly, but I do feel sorry for it. I'm against it because I just think it'll just ruin the whole commercial property. We're trying to develop Crestwood Boulevard in a commercial way.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments against the rezoning? I will go ahead and let you state your case, but going forward, when we close the book on the fours, we're transitioning. That's our fine. Let's go ahead and hear your piece.
Good evening. My name is Dolores Mason. I've known Miss Macon for over 50 years, and I know how she cares, her love for people, her love for children. Where the property is, I cannot see anybody voting against it, simply because it's a big, nice house right out there by itself, behind the Waffle House. Nobody should have a problem with that. And I know for a fact that she's going to take care of those people because I've been there. I go there at least twice a week just to look around. And I know she would do a good job. And anybody that knows her, they know that. So why would you not put something there? How long has the house been empty? For quite some time now. So why would you not put something there that can be utilized by your citizen? That sounds all right. Yeah,
Fair
sounds
enough.
good to me.
Thank you.
You have a question for me? No. Oh, okay.
Any other against? We need to have an instruction course this evening, it appears. Okay. As this is going to be our trial run on these 3 zoning cases that we have tonight. Ms. Pike, if you would please.
So I'm going to make this quick. These people need a voice. And I never go to the laundromat, but I had to wash my dog's beds. And these people were in the laundromat with this lady. And she was very attentive. They're very self-sufficient. They knew what was going on. We had a conversation. And, I'm sorry, who else would take their time to take these people to the laundromat and let them wash their clothes and be taken care of? So, I'm for it because these people need a voice, and I want to be part of that voice. Thank you from Donna Pike, 440 East Ventura Drive.
Thank you, Donna. Any other comments for this rezoning? We just need your name and your address. One moment.
Eileen Rayburn, 601 St. Patrick's Circle, Irondale, Alabama.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm one of the boarders at Miss Macon's boarding house, and I have had the experience, not a pleasant one, of living in other boarding homes. I've slept on foundations without a mattress and could feel the boards against my back. Been hardly fed. I had to buy my own toilet paper and my own coffee in the morning. Coffee wasn't provided. Living with Miss Macon is completely wonderful. She serves good meals 3 times a day. When I was sick with the flu, she went out and bought me Theraflu, ibuprofen, cough syrup, soup, and soda to drink, and didn't ask me for a dime. I'd be lucky with somebody else if they took me to the store sick to buy something for myself. And everything that she has encountered as far as difficulties with getting washers and dryers, like the woman said, we went to the laundromat until we got washer and dryer, and she's met every obstacle with positive input. She gets things done. And I'm just asking if you will allow her to go in and fix the house up. She wants to see us, I'm sure, well fed, happy, and healthy. And I'm sure safe with the fire codes is among one of her goals.
Thank you. I was asked about a general question. Once we get the form of the agenda approved, there will be a moment for in general questions about agenda items only. I want to stay on task with talking about the fours or the four nots. Any other comments for or against this rezoning? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Shirley Pleasant, AG. I'm a retired nurse after 45 years, and I have come in with all different type of sickness in people. Now, my brother is one that stayed with Miss Mason. I took him out of a terrible boarding home that DHR should have done something about it when he was sleeping on the floor with another man. She had the women sleeping together and the men sleeping together. And I wish Miss Mason could get this place because she good. And I'm retired for 8 years, and I come by there to see my brother at least 3 or 4 times a week and thing, because I know that he want to see me. And he got a twin brother that was wanting to go and see him when he was in this other place. His name was Napoleon Pleasant, and never could get there to see him on account of this woman would never let him go and see him. She would meet him, and if somebody want to meet you, they're telling me something wrong, not letting them in to see. She had fed them, she didn't feed them, and things. You know, microwave's okay, but I want some food from the stove. I want some cooked food. I want some vegetable. I don't want microwave food. And Miss Macon should be able to have this place. Now, didn't nobody think about this place until she moved in it. This place been there forever. Now, all of a sudden, everybody concerned about, we want it. I don't think it should be there. Look, I don't took care of all kind of sick people. Until you in the position of these people, then you make a comment.
Thank you. Any other comments for or against this rezoning? With no,
Question. Can you explain why, I guess, the reasoning planning and zoning recommended against, and shed some light on that?
Sure. To surmise it as best would be the fact that we would be looking at an institutional zoning in the midst of what is commercial. that was a big fit. Is planning and zoning is obviously considering about the fit of it, and as
That's
far
the
as planning and zoning was concerned, it did not fit the area. There's nothing about the services provided. It did not fit the area as far as the current zonings. Councilman
I'm
Box.
sorry, go ahead. You think you?
Okay.
I was going to ask city attorney a question. Is there a way to not change the zoning, but make it some sort of, what is the word, conditional use or so, I don't know. Is there a way to make it where it doesn't totally swap the zoning forever, but would allow possibly this type of?
You would be bound by your current zoning regulations, which would be changing to, that particular zone for that particular use. That's what would actually fit within that use.
Is there a way to do it in a way where if it stops being used for this specific use, it reverts or something like that?
No, you don't generally do that type of.
Councilman Box.
I guess my question would be, are we actually looking at the appropriate thing? Because I'm hearing many of the people say a boarding house rather than an elder care facility. So what type of facility is this? Is this a 501c3 charitable organization that receives donations that will provide elder care, or are the tenants, are they tenants, or are they people that they're taking in that we're actually helping, or are these people that are actually paying to stay there? Are we in a boarding house, which is a rental property? That I guess I know it's a rental property, but is it a licensed elder care facility, or is it a boarding house that is taking care of elderly people? To me, there is a differentiation there.
I would let Ms. Mason answer that question.
Elderly care house for seniors. There's nothing wrong with it. They just need a place, okay?
But you are incorporated, I assume? The goal would be to be incorporated of some sort? Are you planning on filing a 501(c)(3)? You're planning on filing for 501(c)(3)? So you're looking at forming a non-for-profit for this elderly care? Okay. Did that answer your question?
It does, but are we not getting the cart before the horse until that 501c3 is formed and licensed and then change the zone?
Short answer, anybody can ask for any rezoning that they want. They can ask for it. Obviously, until she would not be able to fulfill those roles and responsibilities until those various licenses were put into place.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
We finished with Blueprint Irondale, what was it, last year? And the question I have is, Blueprint Irondale, we have it currently zoned as C1. Is the future use for that also C1?
I would have to say yes. Going back to what Councilman Spivey said, everything around that is C, is zone commercial. So for you to change the zoning on that and put institutional, that's called spot zoning. Typically, you don't do spot zoning. You try to keep everything contiguous and keep it the way that it's been designed to be, which is a commercial corridor, not something set up for institutional. I mean, we have plenty of land. We have
Everybody, please.
that is the zoning. That's the zoning that you're that's the zoning. I'm not talking about the people. I think that's where we got off track. This whole thing is what's the best and highest use for that land. It has nothing to do with the people that are there, but it has to do with what is the best zoning, highest and best use for that property, and how does that property fit in with the character of the rest of the properties that are there. That's what we should be dealing with. The rest of the things have nothing to do when it comes to zoning.
Thank you, Mayor. Since there were no other comments for or against before we return to our deliberation, I would ask for a motion to close this public hearing.
Motion?
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Second public hearing, the City Council of the City of Irondale will hear comments from interested citizens for a change of zoning from R2 Residential District to an I1 Light Industrial District for the property located at 5238 Amber Hills Road, Irondale, Alabama 35210. Motion to enter a public hearing?
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. To preface this one is that it was approved, not unanimously, but approved at P and Z the meeting prior. We have obviously a presenter here, and it seems that we have a lot of interested citizens. Same format on that. Mr. South, if you could come up and present.
My name is Jerry South, and I'm with Gonzalez Strength Civil Engineers, and our address is 1550 Woods of River Chase Drive, Suite 200, Hoover, Alabama 35244. I've represented at the P&Z. We also met with the residents in an informal meeting here last week. Is there was some confusion at the end of P&Z as to exactly an offering or a suggestion, a possibility that we presented at the end of the meeting. And so we met and explained what that discussion was about. And I'm going to give you all a drawing as well. And what I'm putting up here is exactly what I'm going to give you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The property we're in here about tonight is 10 acres. The address is Amber Hills Road, but it also touches and fronts on Alton Road. The property is 10 acres, currently zoned R2. The request is to zone it to I1. The applicant is B&D Electric. The Jones family, 3 generations of family business, and they repair electric and electric motors and pumps. They have been in business downtown for some time. They're all the Jones family is Irondale residents. They desire to be out here. This property is adjoined on Alton Road, and you'll see my diagram there that we propose to enter from Alton Road. That's likely to mean that the address will get changed to Alton from the Amber Hills address. That just happens to be the way it's in the the tax records at this point. The I-2 has a required 20-foot buffer next to residential, which some of this is, and we are also adjacent to some existing I-1 that front on Alton, as you'll see there on the left and right of our proposed entrance. In the P&Z hearing, we saw the concern of the Amber Hills being a potential, or the property touching Amber Hills. So you'll see on the map that I have drawn a red line across from 2 iron pin, 2 property corners, and that blocks off approximately 2.3 acres. And so what we ask as an option and would like to do is to leave that 300 plus feet square as R2 and rezone the remaining 7.5 or so acres to the I-1. There would be no access to Amber Hills. There couldn't be any access to Amber Hills without a public right-of-way because of the use of the Amber Hills remaining zoning and the zoning of I-1. The The topography is very challenging. You'll see the building is sitting somewhat in the middle of the property for a couple of reasons. One, you can see it's a rather a pie-shaped property, as well as the topography is very challenging. It's around 80 feet higher than Alton and Amber Hills. Not a zoning issue, but information. The zoning regulations require that a 20-foot buffer be left remaining along each property line adjacent to residential. And the plan, whether the building is here or in this concept or rotated in some way, it clearly will be quite some distance, approaching 75 to 100 feet or so from any of the adjacent properties. The operation is clean. It does not have, it's not a smokestack. There's no grinding, drilling, any of the manufacturing repair work done outside. It's all internal. We are in the Cahaba River Basin, so there are two things we have to do. One is that two ordinances that we comply with. One is to manage the storm drainage. We have to, whatever we increase, a paving or roof, we are obligated or by code and want to by detention. You're probably familiar when I talk about detention ponds and that type of thing. There's also, so that just captures the extra water that it's generated and releases it at a rate that doesn't harm downstream. There's also in Irondale an ordinance called the Municipal Stormwater, MS4 is the buzzword for that. And so because it's in the Cahaba Basin, there's an extra step that you take for, it's a water quality requirement. And so we know that we can do that. We have the room to do it. We are also will be on a septic tank. Sanitary sewer is not available out there. I talked to Jefferson County, one of the inspectors at Jefferson County, about this type of operation, and he said it would be similar to, because they do clean the electric motors, and he said it would be similar as in a fire station where they're on a septic tank and they have grease oil separators that manage that, any kind of a cleaner or where, as in a fire truck, where they wash the grit and whatever off of it, and then it would then before it would go into the septic tank. And he said it's and the Jones family has an operation in Tuscaloosa that has a grease oil separator, so they know how to do this, and they need to do it, and where to put it. The traffic count on Alton Road is, or I'm going to put it this way: there's plenty of capacity left. With looking at the traffic counts for a 2-lane road, there's plenty of capacity on Alton Road for this operation, this business. And again, with the 2.3 acres that will leave as is zoning, there would be no access from Amber Hills for this business. And I believe I said, but I'll say again, there is two I-1 types of uses on each side of the property at Alton Road. So we would be in that same type of use.
Thank you.
With that, I'll leave any questions.
Thank you. Councilwoman Cuellar?
The concern I have is in hearing from some residents is there are school children that live around that area, and will you be having work being done later in the evening, which would disturb their sleep or keep them awake? Do you intend to stay open? I apologize. I'll speak in the mic. One of the concerns that was brought had to do with the residents that live around there, have school children, and if they plan to open later at night, would the noise be a disturbance for people who have to get up early in the morning and need to sleep?
Okay, they operate on normal business hours.
Okay.
They do have an on-call service, 24/7s for people that rely on their services. But that's an on-call, and they're going to wherever the motor or pump is that's needing a help, a repair, replacement, whatever that need is. But it'd be normal business hours.
Thank you. The other question is really for our legal, and that is, if we go on and move forward with rezoning it to I-1, and let's say 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, the owners decide to sell this, I understand the hours of operation, but would there be anything in the rezoning or contract that would stipulate that it would be within the same framework that we have set up for this current owner requesting the zoning change as a means of protecting the residents that live there?
Is actually zoned as, and so therefore, you could place conditions on it, that the zoning is actually subject to certain conditions. And so, that would be a way to attempt to try to cause those to carry forward.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Do you want to clarify for the audience what counsel just said, what legal just said? There were some people that couldn't hear that.
I asked our legal attorney if we could put some conditions in the rezoning, if we were to rezone this property, if we could put some conditions that would ensure that our residents would be protected and the future owners of the property would follow those conditions.
Thank you.
She said we could do that.
Mr. Sal, before we move on, would that be something that your client would be receptive to as an option?
So you understand what the question is about that it maintain, you're the third generation and.
Hey, my name's Michael Jones. I live at 2391 Monroe Drive. First off, on the noise, all the work's done inside the building. So it's an insulated building. I mean, it's not like we can't hear you. All the work is performed inside the building. So it's not like we're a manufacturing plant where we have fans and stuff that are outside the building. All the work, I mean, it's not even like a car shop where the doors are open. Our buildings in Birmingham are air conditioned. We want the door shut. I mean, it gets hot in Alabama summers with doors open. So on the conditional zoning, I would need to know what conditions y'all are proposing. So before I say yes, I mean, what are the conditions that y'all are wanting to propose that we would be in acceptance to? I'm not going to give a blanket yes.
That's fair. The question that was asked of Mr. South was the hours that y'all would be keeping, and he referred to that as normal business hours.
We do offer continuous, I mean, we do work for hospitals, cities, water, Birmingham Water Works, Irondale, I mean, Jefferson County. So we offer services continual. Our normal hours of operation are 7 to 5.
So y'all could be operating beyond normal business hours.
We could.
Okay.
I mean, it's
fair enough.
I mean, but again, we don't want to work all the time either. So,
Of course.
I mean, the whole family works there. We don't want to be there all the time. So, but again, the work's being performed inside the building, not to the open. I mean, we're working inside. So,
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Councilman Box, any questions for the gentleman?
Basic Councilman Queller had the questions that I did. So you're saying there may be some times when you're in there working after hours, but for the most part, I'm understanding you actually go to the site to ascertain what's going on, disassemble whatever's there, bring it back and fix it if you can, or schedule it for another time.
So the product comes to us to fix. You can.
Okay,
It's not. I'm not going to say it's like a car, but when your car breaks, you take it to the shop. well, we offer services at the plant, but when you bring it to the shop, like we're the shop,
Okay, so someone would have to actually call you to schedule to bring stuff after hours.
or our trucks would go get it. Yes, sir.
And on the, it looks like you're having a 20% buffer all the way around, whether it's
20 foot.
residential or other commercial properties or industrial properties there, except for the red line back here. Is that just a 20% buffer as well, or you're going to leave that whole 2.5 or 2.3 acres natural? What's the plan in that?
I mean,
It would have the buffer as well. So above the red line would be another 20 feet.
Mm-hmm. So you'd have the 20 feet above that, and then all that would be left natural or
I mean,
undisturbed?
yeah, I mean, we're gonna do disturb as little as possible for cost. I
Okay.
mean, like, we're not. I don't want to clear cut. I mean, that's a fair statement, isn't it?
Okay,
I mean,
and is there a plan to fence the property or actually fence the proposed structures?
how so? I mean, around the
A
edge of.
security fence, a privacy fence, around the whole border of the property, or just around the
Yeah,
the
I
buildings
I
itself?
think it's required.
I think it is.
Okay.
Around the building, yes.
Yeah.
So, but would it be chain link fence, or would it be like a privacy fence that something would actually?
I don't
The
know.
code says either or. I
Either
mean,
or.
if chain link is permissible or a solid type fence, either one is allowed.
So that would be something that, if heard from the citizens, that they would accept a privacy fence, that you might be amenable to do that instead of a chain link fence.
Or a privacy screen on a chain link fence. Yes, that would be negotiable.
Okay,
And
thanks.
we've talked as well about trees or planting some tree buffer where trees for a buffer if it was required, because the property was cleared many years ago. So there may be a side or so that it looks like it might need some additional, and we can, they're prepared to add that where it might be needed.
And are there some existing structures on the property now that are going to be removed?
It's vacant.
That's not yours. Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Sims?
I think y'all hit on most of it. So there's currently one large 10-acre lot. You're proposing to split it to two parcels, leave the tiny, looks like a Christmas tree to me, so leave the stump as residential. Us changes, can we, I guess that's my question to the attorney. If we change the zoning now on a parcel that technically it's one big parcel at the moment, if they're gonna be two, how do we do that? On a parcel that doesn't exist exactly yet.
We have been told that a piece of property can have one owner, one piece of property can have two zonings. I'm not sure where that rule is, but I'm told that is,
That was
allowed.
brought up at planning and zoning as an option. I know Butch talked about that. The chair of that board talked about that just a little bit. So it can be done. Now, whether it has to be reparceled or the zoning needs to be contingent upon it being reparceled, then that's fine. But from Butch's mouth, we have and you're nodding in the affirmative. Right. She is confirming the fact that we have the ability to divide that up into parcels. And if we move forward with this deliberation tonight and go forward with this, that the zoning can be made contingent to dividing the land into two separate parcels. She was just confirming that.
Right, the 2.3 acres would remain R2, and the 7.5 acres, if the council approves it, would be rezoned to I1.
Any other questions, Councilman Sims?
Not at this moment.
Okay. And I have all my question answers. Thank you very much. All right. All right. At this time, we would take comments for the rezoning. For the rezoning. Any comments for the rezoning in favor of?
I guess I'm up here, so I'll do it.
All right, fair enough.
It's pretty simple. We own the land. We live in Irondale. We don't want to give our money or our time or go to Birmingham. We want to be in Irondale, and that's pretty much the gist of it. We're going on 3 generations now. My family's in the back of the room. If things allow, they want to be in it. I'd love for them to be in it also. We love the land. We farm. We hunt. We fish. We don't want to tear up what God's given us. We just want to work in Irondale. So that's pretty much all I got.
Thank
I've
you,
got
sir.
one question. How many employees do you foresee here?
What's on payroll now? 20.
Says it
And
here.
are you currently, I guess, will this be a brand new location startup, or are you moving something into?
So we're not rich. I mean, full disclosure here. So the plan is to move it in phases. Originally, to start with, the first building would be a sales office and a warehouse. We currently rent warehouses and own warehouses throughout Birmingham. Our goal is to consolidate that into one building, move it there, and then as we can develop, add the second building for repair and move the whole business to Irondale.
Okay,
So
thank you.
we don't, unless you want to give us a really good incentive to go ahead and build it all right now, we don't have the money to do that. So, thanks.
Legal, you're motioning.
Councilman Spivey, I would recommend actually coming back on this item and, and re-advertising it, in that you have a component of it that would be R2 and a component of it that would be I1. And so therefore that would allow them the opportunity to be able to subdivide that. And then that would allow it to be heard as it actually is being asked.
So from a legal standpoint, clean it up and bring it back.
That would be my recommendation.
That is the
yes.
recommendation for legal. Okay. Before we continue to accept comments for or against, Councilwoman Cuellar, I tend to follow legal's advice. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Councilman Box?
Just for clarification then, we're saying that the way it's being presented to us right now is not appropriate for the way we're possibly being asked to vote.
Or the way it was advertised.
The way that it is being currently presented is different from the way that it was advertised.
Okay.
It was advertised that the entire address was actually going to be going to an I-1. Whereas on this map, it says here that part of the address will be going to an I-1 and part of it will be staying R2. And the address is under that entire 10-acre, parcel. So technically, it would be appropriate from a legal basis to actually re-advertise what they are indeed asking for, and then come back and do this again.
So even after the hearings and the meetings that have taken place, that's what we're getting from you as a suggestion. They need to come back to the drawing board with this map as a proposal.
Just to hear, correct?
They would come back to council.
Oh, the council.
The planning and zoning board is a recommendation, by.
To the city council, then that would be sufficient.
Okay, so if we did continue and move forward with a vote tonight because of the will of the citizens, what would be any detriment, whether it's voted for or against, what would be any issues that we're going to run into?
If the vote itself were in favor of the rezoning, then I would recommend going back and actually re-advertising it such that all the procedural, checkpoints are met. If the vote were against it, then that wouldn't actually matter.
Okay, that's all my question. Thank you.
Based on her recommendation, do you, Councilwoman Cuellar, I believe your input on this is to go ahead and do what legal is saying?
I am, because this way we have actual clarity that 2.3 acres, which is not shown here, the way that it's advertised, will remain at R2, and 7.1 acres is what actually is being rezoned to I-1.
Based
So-
on legal's recommendation, Councilman Box, your opinions on continuing this public hearing?
I always want to hear from the citizens, but that's my opinion. I understand and respect April's opinion legally. My curiosity would be is could we not clean it up after the public hearing either way? But, if we need to set this out, then I guess we could set it out. I prefer to hear from the citizens and the rest of the owners and see what people want to do, but.
And that is not what I'm saying, that you couldn't do that.
Okay,
I would just recommend that if you were going to consider it favorably,
Right.
that you actually, remedy what is actually being voted on such that you have an appropriate advertisement
Yes, ma'am.
out there. But there would be nothing wrong with running through the public hearing and then considering it, as part of the agenda and then tabling it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, fair enough. Councilman Sims, go
I mean,
ahead and continue the public hearing to hear it, but bring it back, basically. What's
I
your
don't-
thoughts on the
well,
matter?
I mean, I think we need to go through things the right way, so that there's nothing that can come back and change it after the fact. I mean, if we continue now and it comes back, everyone's gonna have to come back anyway.
We would
So-
have another public hearing regarding the updated zoning language, is what I'm hearing from you, correct? Okay. So there would be a public hearing once the mailings went back out with the correct description, is what.
We are entitled to a public hearing.
Let us work this out, please. Thank you.
Public hearing has been held, and so if you were to choose to go forward to the city council, agenda item and actually talk through that, you could do that so that you could hear from citizens like what, Councilman Box, just talked about.
Okay, then we'll
You could
continue.
certainly do that.
Then we'll go ahead and continue. All right, that being said, anything else, Mr. South, before we turn it over?
All right, for the owner's clarity, are we talking about a subdivision platting? Is that what we would, that term has not been used, but it's been kind of talked around about it. Are we talking about a legal subdivision platting process to separate the zoning?
I would defer to engineering on that. If that is what I believe that it would be, is that you would actually have to come back and divide these into two parcels. Since you've got one parcel number, but that's an engineering question, so, for the city engineer.
Okay, second question I would like to ask the fire department is, if it remained one parcel with two zonings, could there be an address on Alton Road as well as the Amber Hills for the remaining R2 zoning? Would you all know?
I would definitely point to my department head on that one.
Post office.
I believe he's
I
being
saw Brad.
pulled. Yeah, he's here.
Probably in Jefferson County.
Give him one moment for Mr. Doss to come up.
That's a 911. I had a question. If the parcel, the 10-acre parcel is, as represented in my drawing, if the part that is adjacent to Amber Hills remain R2 with its address, could there be a second address coming, that where the property fronts on Alton Road, even though it's one owner but two different zonings, could there be an address for Alton Road? I understand, yeah, but I mean, from the fire department standpoint, that's, okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we'll take any comments for this rezoning that we have not heard yet. Any other comments for this rezoning? All right. Any comments against this rezoning? Yes, please.
So, Council President Spivey, just so we're clear, there's no one here with a comment for this rezone.
Other than the gentleman that has previously spoken.
Well, sir, in a point of clarification, he stressed this earlier. If you're for the rezoning, now's your time to speak. He is on the, we've already closed now, the for, so your time to speak was when you're for it, when he asked for it. So May I ask you to re-examine that, Council President? It's fine.
Sure.
Make sure this is fair.
So we went through this the first time with the first case. When I opened the door for comments for the rezoning, that is your opportunity to make comments for the rezoning. So for our second iteration, I would be remiss if I did not ask for clarification if there were any other comments for this rezoning to allow this to happen. Yes, sir.
Okay. You will need to come forward and speak, and any additional people that you have that are for it would need to raise their hand, give their name, and come forward and speak. Okay, and unless Council President wants to allow you to say, if there's 33 people here that wanted and one person speaks representatively, you could do that. But in fairness, if you're wanting to speak forward, now's your time.
Thank
Well,
you.
the problem is, a lot of people don't have a one way or the other. I mean, for the business to come in, they don't really care if it comes in, but some of them don't object. And so that's what you run into. I mean, he's my brother. He's on this property for over 25 years. He's done nothing to it. He's had it cleared one time, and he'll do the right thing. You know, he's as honest as he can be. And it's not usable for, you know, for building homes on. I guess, I mean, you know, would they rather have 100 homes in there, or would they have to have 2 buildings? And they do not. I mean, you can go down there to their building and you can stand around, and nobody on 3rd Avenue or 4th Avenue hears anything that goes on in that building. So them talking about kids not getting their sleep because people are hammering and stuff, that's not going to happen. You know, and it'll be a lot better looking than it is now, because they'll cut all that sage and they'll plant grass, and it'll look good, and they can make berms where they'll stop that water from running down on Amber Hills. And, you know, some of the main ones that are opposing this, well, their husband actually cleared this land and did it, and was told that he could put that.
I think we're getting a little off on this. Are you speaking for this rezoning?
Right, yes.
I just need your name and address.
Yeah, 2409 Monroe Drive, Birmingham, Alabama, Irondale, 35210.
And your name for the record, sir?
My name is Barry Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. I appreciate you.
But anyway, he's in the.
Okay.
He hadn't had his 2 minutes yet. We were just clarifying his intentions here. Thank you.
What?
I was clarifying your intentions because you were going a little sideways on that.
Well, I mean, they're
So-
going to start. I'm just saying what they're going to start saying about flooding and all this.
And we will hear from them when their time
Sir,
comes.
they can say what they're going to say when they come up. Say
Yeah.
you're here to say what you want to say,
Right.
which is I'm for it because of A, B, C. Now, when you finish saying I'm for it because of A, B, C, let one of your other people that are for it come forward and speak. I'm for it because of A, B, C, rather than getting into a dissertation. This will be the same thing that Council President will do for the people that are against it, rather than letting them go A, B, C.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that it'll look better than it does now.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you so much.
Any other comments for or in favor of? Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm Craig Jones, 2329 Monroe Drive, Irondale, Alabama 35210, and I'm for it. And the people are complaining about the water problem, and it'll be better after we're there than it is now. But they're already flooding. I mean, if you were here on the first meeting, and they talked about all the water, and they talked about traffic on the road. That's why the 2 acres were split up off of it. It's to where we would not enter from from Amber Hills Road. We don't want to enter from Amber Hills Road. We all live off of Amber Hills Road on Monroe Drive, and we have to travel Amber Hills Road to go somewhere. So we don't want the traffic either. So.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir. Any other comments for? Yes, sir.
Everything's already been said. My name's Wesley Jones. I live at 2320 Monroe Drive. I'm for it. I think everything's been discussed, so.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Any other comments for this rezoning? Yes, sir.
Yes, my name's Frankie Smith. I live at 2310 Monroe Drive, and I'm for it.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your comments. Any other comments for this rezoning?
My name is Connie Smith and I live at 2310 Monroe Drive. In reference to the children sleeping and such, there's other businesses on Alton Road that do work, sometimes trucks coming in and out, and they're close to residential neighborhoods. So if that's not an issue for them, I don't see what would be an issue on this end either, but I'm actually for it.
Fair enough. Thank you. Any other comments for the rezoning?
My name is Galdino Gomez Jr. I live on 2381 Monroe Drive, Birmingham, Alabama 35210. And I am for it. Like everything I've said, we do everything possible to, there won't be no noise. Everything will be insulated. And I'm for it.
Fair enough. Thank you, sir. You're for this rezoning, ma'am?
Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Tammy Smith. I live at 2335 Monroe Drive. And as you see, the Monroe Drive people, they're our neighbors. They want to be your neighbors. They want to do what's right for you and for the community, for the city of Irondale. And I hope you give them the opportunity because this is their home too.
Thank you. And you are?
I'm Jennifer Jones. I live at 2391 Monroe Drive. I'm married into this wonderful family. I hear a lot of comments about people talking about they're worried about their children sleeping at night. I completely understand that. But I want to say some of the best naps my kids have ever taken have been inside the doors of this company. So I can say like that is not an issue. My husband was raised there. He took naps. He had a crib inside this office. It's okay.
Point taken. Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments for this rezoning? Not coming back around. Thank you. Any comments against this rezoning? Against this rezoning? Yes, ma'am. I believe you were making your way earlier.
My name is Sue Fleming. I live at 5381 Amber Hills Road. I am speaking on behalf of my husband, Wayne, who is a PE, but he talks slower than I do, and we thought maybe I could get it in 2 minutes better than him. So I'm going to read what he's written. I have been involved in zoning cases in our area for the last 45 years in an attempt to protect our current residential status. I've seen the Alton Road develop as the area of Amber Hills Road retained its agricultural and residential zoning. This case threatens to break that stability. All of the commercial industrial activity on Alton Road is insulated from Amber Hills Road by the hill. Therefore, we do not see or hear or smell overly objectionable non-residential results of the zoning. This proposed rezoning breaks that protective barrier that our Amber Hills Road residents enjoy. The topography of this parcel prevents the proposed development from being over the hill. The buildings will actually be on our side of the hill and therefore would expose buildings and outside storage, such as I believe now they have salvage motors behind their plant now in Birmingham. Even if this construction were over the hill, rezoning of the parcel, and we've kind of already discussed this a little bit, would expose residential owners to potential future construction allowable in the industrial zone parcel that would fall within feet of their adjoining properties. The two properties on either side of it would be very close, 20 feet. And historically, changes establish a precedent that perpetuates change. I agree with the statement from Blueprints Irondale that's already been talked about here tonight on page 68, which is on the city website. It is not the intent of this plan to place existing uses in a situation where their value or the quality of life of residents is adversely affected. In addition, current maps, figure 2.18 on page 41, indicates undeveloped for this area, and figure 2.19 on page 43 indicates existing zoning as R2, and the future maps, figure 4.1 on page 69 and figure 4.4 on page 75, indicates proposed future use of this parcel as low residential.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is that my 2 minutes?
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't make it.
They'd make it close, very close. Any other comments against this rezoning? Yes, sir.
So, Nicholas Hoffman, I live at 5805 Amber Hills Road. I believe there's a lot of uncertainty about this rezoning, and which I think kind of broadsided some of you as well, as to the part of it that's going to remain residential and some of it not. I was kind of hit with this when I got a letter in the mail that stated that this was all taking place, and I don't live on this end of Amber Hills Road, but I do live on Amber Hills Road, and I felt obligated to come and represent the people that do live there, because this is residential. This is where we live, and you know, I'm kind of upset with the city and maybe some of the council members why weren't we made aware of this? Was I not entitled to be made aware of this? I don't know, based on where we live, but you know, I do have to stand against this, because it is, like I said, it's where we live, and residential needs to remain residential, not change to industrial, you know, for a number of reasons, which I'm sure, you know, most of the people would come up here and speak against that. So that's my input there. So.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments against the rezoning? Yes, sir.
I'm Daniel Walker. I live at 5388 Amber Hills Road. My issue has absolutely nothing to do with these people. I'm sure they're fine people. I'm sure they have a great business. But once this zoning is changed, the next person that owns it can do whatever they want within that zoning. And like was stated earlier, this lot, even though they're going to leave off that little bit next to the road, is on our side of the hill. So there will be a business right in the middle of a residential area. And now I've lived here 20 years. I don't want my kids to have a big industrial building sitting right outside of their door. So anyways, I'm
Fair
against
enough.
it.
Thank you. Anyone else against this rezoning?
The name's Domingo Santos, 5327 Amber Hills Road. First, I want to apologize to you guys. I didn't mean to yell out back. I just misheard what she was saying, and I wanted to clarify some things. In 2019, my wife and I moved to Irondale. She grew up in Irondale and was raised in Irondale.
Might want to adjust that down.
In 2019, my wife and I moved to Irondale. She moved. She was raised here. So throughout that time, we've had some great neighbors in the area. We've enjoyed our property right peacefully. And again, I want to clarify that I'm sure the family here have a successful, great business. I think it's just unfortunate the way the property is set up. To quote the mayor and you guys, as you can see, South Lane, all the properties on South Lane touches that property. So rezoning this will lead, I mean, it's literally spot zoning, and it does not go with the characteristics of the neighborhood. My wife and I were starting a family, and I think this is just going to it's just in a bad place, and it's going to it's not compatible with the characteristics of our neighborhood. Period. And it's just, like I said, it's just unfortunate the way the property is set up, and that's it.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments against this rezoning? Yes, please.
Monica Peppers, 5291 Amber Hills Road. I would like to ask a question. This is a picture of their current building, the B&D building. Will you be violating your own Irondale code.
Point of order, Council President. Are we
Councilman
here for
Box?
questions or comments?
We are here to hear if you are for or against this and
I
why.
am against because I'm wondering if you will be violating your own code. Light industrial, I-1, 417J. I'll just read the end part of that paragraph. Provided that any resulting cinders, dust, flashing fumes, gas, noise, odor, refuse, matter, smoke, vapor, or vibration is confined effectively to the premises and no fire hazard is created. Will there be large motors? What is coming out of this chimney? This is just a question about, or this is a concern that it might be violating a code, industrial code. Another picture. Will you also be violating the light industrial I-1, section 417-1J, manufacturing and industrial? I'm going to just read the very last sentence. Dust, flashing fumes, gas, noise, odor, refuse matter, smoke, vapor, vibration, if confined effectively to the premises and no fire hazard is created. There's placards on the building that they currently have. The Birmingham Fire Department has said that they do not enter unless they are told exactly what is inside the building. They will wait for a call back. So essentially, they have no database to look up what's inside according to these placards. And I guess the building would burn. Irondale Fire Department says would not know what was in the building, do not have records on local businesses, will not enter until they know. It's just in the event
Thank
of
you
a
for your
fire.
comments.
Thank you.
Anyone else against this rezoning? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Vanessa Landa. I'm speaking on behalf of my parents, who we live on 5298 Amber Hills Road. They own 5308 Amber Hills Road and 2021 Self Lane. It's me. I have two little siblings who are, one is 6, one is 7. We have animals. I was born and raised here in Irondale. We moved to Amber Hills Road about 7 years ago. And I'm sure y'all have a map, but just wanted to show you. Our house is right here on this corner. We actually walked by there the other day. I don't know how y'all would feel to have y'all's kids. Our kids, my little siblings, love playing outside. We have a trampoline, playground. Our community, there's more kids down on the street. I don't think any of us would like having an industrial facility right in our backyard. My mom loves planting vegetables and things like that. So we're worried about oil spills, the air, all of that being right in our backyard. So I'm against this.
Thank you. Any other comments against this rezoning? Any other comments against this? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Roseanne Butero Morrow. I live at 5329 Amber Hills Road, Irondale, Birmingham, Irondale, Alabama 35210. And I've lived in that neighborhood for approximately 25 years and have been in that neighborhood for other friends and so forth for a long time. It's a neighborhood. And while I'm not adverse to bringing revenue to our city, one of the things that was pointed out to me was a volunteer fire department. It was the neighborhood that was formed at East Jefferson Fire Department after property on Self Lane burned down after Trustful and Irondale could not respond. Land was then donated, monies donated by our gracious businesses to build the station and a fire truck. Everyone worked hard to every step of the way, staffed by volunteers from this neighborhood who were trained and gave many hours of their time for the neighborhood. It's a neighborhood. We love where we live. And we're just concerned because there are a lot of other issues on our road that have not been taken care of. I'm sure everyone's very familiar with that, some of the water runoff and so forth. And we just want to make sure that those problems are solved before we go further with something else.
Fair enough. Any other comments against this rezoning?
Hi, good evening. My name is Talia Tramutolo, and I'm actually new to Irondale. Moved from Texas, and I just bought a home on 5408 Reese Lane. One of the things that attracted me to Irondale specifically, my street, and even on Amber Hills, it's a residential neighborhood. There's no like industrial. Everybody there that I met, everybody's close knit, and I feel like building this structure would just change the whole, I guess, dynamic of the entire street. I mean, we have a lot of the people that I know, all of my neighbors, we have pets, kids, and just having an industrial area with potential, hazardous waste, chemicals being used there it's a big concern for me. I mean, as far as like environmental and whatnot, but that's a big concern for me. And are there, I'm not sure if I can ask this, but are there regulations that are established for this? Regular inspections that would potentially be scheduled to inspect this place. Again, my concern is like hazardous chemicals, hazardous waste. Also, trucks going in and out in this area. This is a residential area, and that's what's drawn me to Irondale.
Thank you. Any other comments against this?
My name is Robbie Evat. I live at 5214 Amber Hills Road. Been there from 66, been there 62 of my 66 years. That's my home place that I grew up in. And the issue that I have is on the diagram, my grandfather at one time owned all that back in years ago. It had been purchased by other different people over the years. And the problem I have is on the Christmas tree, on the left-hand side, that's my property. And of course, I got some trees I can block all the view, but the main thing I'm concerned about is going to be the odors that's going to be coming. And they've already admitted that the work that they do. And then another problem I have is if at some point in time that they decide to sell the other part, then what are we going to do? Again, then we're at our property side is going to be stuck. And the other part, people in the closing area is there too. Now today, since it's been raining, I looked down on Amber Hills Road and looked down to the right-hand side, which is where the lake is over there. And there the water was running down to the right-hand side. And there's a lot of water on the back part of Amber Hills Road where it's kind of like a swamp area. And the water runs almost constantly all the time. And the lake over there on Hall Lake, that's my grandfather bought that, made that lake years ago. I'm back in the 50s. So that has a lot of my things I think about when I see what's happening. And so it's just a lot of age things. Now, the other thing I have is the sheriff took pictures of the area. And if you people would like to see what it says about here, but what it says is roughly, it says large drum outside this water station. So it says oil, used oil. I'm a little nervous about up here speaking. But the point being is that not that these are good people. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But the point is, some people do fudge. And there's a lot of fudgers in this world. A lot of fudgers in the United States, Alabama, Birmingham, Irondale. You can't tell me that people hadn't just pushed the button some. Because we all push the button.
Thank you for your comments.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments against this rezoning? I would ask for, if you're going to be restating what is being stated, maybe kind of move on and give us anything new that we may need to consider. Thank you. Now at P&Z, they didn't put you on a 2-minute timer, so.
I know.
Okay.
I got the 2 minutes. 2.5 minutes.
Thank you.
Could
I
have 2.5?
appreciate you. Go ahead and give her your name and your address for the
Mary
record.
Scherer, 5276 Amber Hills Road.
Thank you.
I am next to the parcel that is supposedly going to be cut off, next to that piece. Again, we went to buy the B&D Electric Motors location, took a few photos on December the 28th. Here's one of the dirty motors okay, sitting outside of their business. It's not a little motor. It's a big motor. It's about this tall, based on what we could see. It's covered in grease and oil dirt, so they have to wash it. They take it to a washing station. They're planning on taking care of putting in some oil separators to take care of that. But one of the things in light industrial I-1, section 417F, assembly plants, the assembled or sub-assembled products of which shall in their finished state be such as to be easily portable. Easily portable. So if you consider that, it's not portable. It's very large. One of the other items is this. And this, right outside of their property, across the aisle, across their parking lot, a sign, B&D Electric Motors, turn here. This is their used motors. Irondale, under I-1 and C2, storage of bulk or warehouse for building materials, contractors' equipment, food, fabrics, plumbing supplies, hardware, similar goods, provided that such permitted use shall not store scrap, junk, discarded, or salvaged materials. They may be going to use them. I think they can reuse them. They can't store them. Can't store them outside, can't store them inside. Irondale Code under. C2, the same thing. I-1 reference in C2. They both say the same wording. And again, the photos.
Thank you for your comments.
Did I make it?
Yes, you did. You had 5 seconds to spare. Thank you. Good job. Any other comments? Yes, ma'am. I'd make the same request if we could hear some new material.
My name is Linda Bailey. I live at 5461 Amber Hills Road. I just want to say first that my family moved out there in the early 70s. We now own the property and we live it out there because it is a community. I want to say that all you people that are looking at this, please note that this is a flat map. This does not represent the mountain that they're going to be putting this in. Speaking from experience, when you go to cut in a mountain and put things in, it does cause issues down the road. It may not cause any issues in the beginning, but it does down the road. We're a prime example. And I was concerned when they talked about a fence because I've raised kids, I've got grandkids. I'm sure all you people have got kids or grandkids. A little fence is not going to keep children out, and this kind of facility would be really something they would want to see. They would want to climb a little fence and get over and look. So it would need to be covered up enough where it would be some kind of deterrent. And I'd like to present, I have people that have signed that they are they're in whole in no part do they want to have this facility in our area. I do know that the Joneses are probably really good people, and I appreciate that, but they don't live right on our street. Now, if it was up on their street, maybe it'd be different, but this is us, and we are a family community. So I'd like to present this list to everybody who has signed it. They're not for any part of this whatsoever. Thank you.
As a show of hands, how many more comments against this? One moment. Out of show of hands, how many other voices against this rezoning? In addition to who has spoken this evening, sorry. Okay. All right. So Mr. Bearden. Okay. So I've got 3 that I saw hands for. So we will proceed.
Back, Council President Strobing.
Okay. So that's 4. All right. So you stood up first, please. Come on.
My name is Anita Evat. I live at 5214 Amber Hills Road, and I am to the left of the property. And I don't want to come out of my house and see these buildings. This is a nice community, nice residential area, and to me, it's going to be an eyesore to see a business within our community. And like I said, I live to the left of it. I will see it every single day. My name is Anita Ebat, and I am definitely not for this.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Elizabeth Marquina, and I live in 5298 Amber Hill Road. And I know like more speak English, pero and I live in Ireland for 20 years. And I love the same Islander. I know thing I know like for the industrial or commercial and the think people, the building for the I know like. I like this Islander. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I believe we had two other individuals. Ma'am, I know you motioned up front, if you would please.
I'm Gerda O'Leary. I live at 3836 Rockridge Road, Irondale. I have been visiting Amber Hills Road when it was called Billy Goat Road. My son had a playmate down there, and I have also become familiar with Mary and her family, and I might mention that her former husband was one of those volunteer firemen that would have come out when there would be a fire. And of course, this is going to maybe be more possible with a factory than with a home. I have one question. We heard that the Joneses live here in Irondale. We have heard a lot of Joneses live on Monroe Drive. Would they like to have that factory on Monroe Drive? That
That's
is
a
my
subjective
question.
Let's let her finish her comments, please. Are you finished with your comments?
Yeah, I am against anything that comes and bumps itself in the middle of a residential area.
Thank you, Ms. O'Leary.
Okay.
Mr. Bearden, I believe you motioned.
No, I said just about everything I can.
Okay. That was the last four hands that I saw.
There's a gentleman in the back.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question for the owners. I may have missed this. Could you just, I guess, what will the building look like? Well, is it a 1-story, 2-story? Is it a steel warehouse looking building? I guess, what is the end design supposed to be?
It'll be 1 story. Be about like 20 foot tall, but it'll be 1 story.
And I'm assuming that's a decently treed lot still. Aerial view, it looks pretty treed, heavily treed. Would you say that it's still pretty heavily treed? Aerial view, it looks like there's a lot of trees. I don't know how old that is, but I mean, you mentioned clear cutting how many, like years ago. I don't know if we're talking 20 or 4.
The reason the building is positioned where it is to take advantage of what vegetation is left. I mean, it will have to be lowered some to accommodate the building and the parking lot. But they don't want to clear any more land than they have to. That's why I have kind of been kind of strategic in putting it there, in that one is it's 80 feet from either road, high, vertically. So you need to accommodate, you got to be able to drive in and out of there safely. And that's why I put the building where I did, as well as the vegetation that would remain.
Do you have an estimate of where the retention pond will be yet on this? It's in front.
In front, yes.
Any final questions for the presenter, council?
Aaron, are you finished?
At the moment, yes.
Okay. Sir, how tall did you say that building was going to be?
20 feet.
20 feet? I'm looking at what you just gave us, and it says the maximum building height is 60 feet, 5 stories. So would that be expanded at some point in the future?
That is allowed under I-1, but that is not what they.
Okay, thank you.
Fair question.
We're good? I'm sorry.
How are you saying? How deep is it?
100 feet by 100 feet.
Okay. Do you have the dimensions of the building, Mr. Jr.?
100 feet.
Thank you, sir. Any other general questions will be held after the deliberation. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, it's over 500 feet from Amber Hills Road where we've positioned the building.
I understand. Any other questions from the council for the presenter? Football and a half.
No more comments
Okay.
for or against.
Okay.
Motion closed.
I would
Second.
I would accept a motion to close, and we have a second. Thank you very much. All right. For our third and final case, the city council of the city of Irondale will hear comments from interested citizens for a change of zoning from O office district to C1 commercial district for the property located at 5379 Grantswood Road, Irondale, Alabama 35210. Obviously, I see the presenters in our audience tonight. This passed P&Z unanimously. If we could have someone present our case this evening.
Make a motion to enter public hearing.
Oh, thank you
Second.
for the housekeeping. Motion to enter, seconded. Thank you. Please.
Ashley Lundy, 5370 Grantswood Road. You said 5379, so I just want to make sure that it's listed 5370.
I misread that. Thank
Sir,
you.
I believe we did not vote to go into. Motion seconded, but we didn't vote.
Motion to enter public hearing.
Yeah.
Seconded.
And
Yes,
then-
Bundy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
We skipped that
Please.
part.
Thank you.
Sorry.
You're good.
Coming along night.
It is becoming a long night. Forgive me if I forget a step or three. Please.
This is to change the zoning of the property from office to C1. And I bought this property last year with the intention of moving my acupuncture practice from Argo into Irondale. I have licensed massage therapists that I've worked with in the past that would like to work out of this office. And so the zoning would need to be changed for them to be able to work out of it.
Okay. Councilwoman Cuellar, any questions for the presenter?
You said that this was unanimous in favor by planning and zoning?
Indeed, it was recommended unanimously.
No questions.
Councilman Box?
Your licensed massage therapists, are they going to be working under your business license, or are they independent contractors for themselves? Would we be purchasing a license from Irondale themselves?
They would be purchasing the license. They're independent
So
contractors.
you're just either providing the venue for them, renting them space, or something along those lines.
That's right.
Thank you. No further questions.
Councilman Sims?
You're currently operating there now, and this is strictly to be able to add this
That's right.
new I don't even know what you call it at this point. Service. Yeah.
Service. Right. Yeah, we started October 11th of last year.
Awesome.
Okay. I have had my questions answered previously, so thank you for that. So at this time, I would, unless you have anything else to add, I would begin accepting comments. You good? Fair enough. Thank you. At this time, we would accept any comments for this rezoning. This would be for the rezoning.
Hello.
Greetings.
Bill Lundy, 5370 Grantswood Road. Happy to be here. Appreciate the time. I know it's been a long night. I'm Ashley's husband. I'll be working with her. I just want you to know she's been in the community of Trustville and Argo for 12 years. We're excited to be a part of Irondale. We feel this is a great place for us to have the business, and the ability to have this zoning change will give us the ability to provide more service to people that need it. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments for this rezoning? Any comments against this rezoning? We're still learning. Thank you.
I'm Cassia Smith, 3704 Woodbine Way, Birmingham, Alabama. I would be one of the massage therapists working there. So yeah, I am for this location. I previously have worked in Birmingham and in Argo at the same time, two different rental situations. So for me, it would be ideal to be in Irondale, where both Birmingham and Argo clientele could come, and hopefully new Irondale clientele as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more comments for or against this rezoning change?
I'm Allison Brown. I live at 3293 Hoot Owl Lane. I'm behind this facility. Got no problem with it being the office that it's currently zoned as. I do have a problem with it becoming a C commercial district, C1. I've looked at the specs, what a C1 can be. It's fine what you're doing now. I don't have a problem with that at all. But, you know, a dog kennel could go in there. It's right behind our neighborhood, not right directly behind my house. But there can be some noisy things come into a C1 district. I would not like to see it become anything that could be a noisy disturbance. We've got enough noise with that interstate.
Thank you. Any other comments against this rezoning? With no more comments against or for this rezoning, I'd accept a motion to leave this public hearing.
Motion to leave public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you all for that. Further deliberation on what is on scheduled to be on the consent agenda would be Resolution 2023 R09, which approves public events for 2023. Councilwoman Cuellar, any comments on this?
The only comment I have is that I would like to request that we postpone this, because what I would like, there are several events that are planned. And I'm looking at this, we're looking at 20 to 30 events that are planned. And I've been told that that the money has been budgeted, but when you're talking about 20 to 30 different events, I would like proposed amounts for each event. Because doing my own finances, I always take a look at how much I'm going to make for the year after taxes are taken out of, and I have to then budget for utilities, mortgage, loan, what have you. And I need to have amounts for each of these events. So that's why I'm requesting that we postpone until we have the amounts for each of the events. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Councilman Box?
No, my questions were answered when they said that it was budgeted items. I would think it would be somewhat along the lines of other things we've done, that if an item comes back that needs more funding, that'll come before the council. At that point in time, we can turn that additional funding down if we think that it's not appropriate. But if all these have been budgeted, which is what's been said, then we have the opportunity to hold them within that budget when those come up before us.
Fair enough. Councilman Sims?
I agree with Councilor Box. Plus, I think the first event, the cycling thing, has time. I think we've actually got someone here tonight for that. But I think they've got to get things going with that. So, I mean, I don't know how we can address that without addressing this.
Thank you for your comments. My comments would align with Councilman Box. All right.
Council President, can I speak to it?
Please,
quickly?
Mayor.
Since that is coming from the city, we tried to create a resolution that would approve all the events at one time, so we wouldn't keep coming back nickeling and diming you every time we get ready to do an event with another resolution. Number two, there's $85,000 that has been budgeted for community events. which means that there is money that has already been allocated to go towards community events. If we need additional funding, we will come back to the council and request additional funds if needed. But the funding is already there. And the example that I used was at the last council meeting, we passed a resolution to declare St. Patrick's Day as a public event. And I want to say that it was voted on unanimously. I still can't figure out what's the difference between that event where you did not know how much it was going to cost, but yet you voted on that. And now you have events in front of you where $85,000 is budgeted, and you still want to be able to see each additional event. Now, I said that I will provide you all with that information within a couple of weeks, but I do not see where it makes sense to postpone this because the money is already allocated. And there's no way we're going to spend $85,000 in the first month or so.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. Are we petitioning for a second round of comments during this deliberation?
Yes, we are.
Councilman Box? Councilman Sims, are you in a, one moment, sir.
Yes, sir.
1 moment. Are you allowing a second round of deliberation on this? Councilwoman Cuellar?
Right. What we have with these events is we do have historical data. They have been held in the past, which gives us an idea of how much we're talking about for each event. 60% of them, 60 to 70% of them have been held in the past. So we do have the historical data. And the second point that I would like to make in regard to the St. Patrick's event, that was a request for in-kind services, not $85,000 of city funds. All I'm asking for is, as a business person, is give me a breakdown for each event so I know how much we're going to be spending for each event. The event with cycling is not being held until March 9th. I've asked for postponement. We can cover this. It gives the mayor time to give us that information at our next council meeting, which will be the first Tuesday in February. So this is not an unreasonable request to ask that we postpone until we have the proposed amounts for each event.
Thank you,
That's all I'd
Councilwoman.
like to
Councilman
say.
Box? I'm remiss if I got the order incorrect.
No, that's quite all right. My only comment was when the mayor and I spoke about it, and he told me the 85,000 was budgeted. That made it fine for me. I guess my only question is, if we go forward on something like this, can we put that in the thing that our estimate of what the cost is going to be? We've got a budget of 85,000, so that would help me in the future.
Yes, well, the thing is, we're in the process of planning. And as I stated, as soon as the plan is created, you all will be able to see exactly what the amounts are. I never said that I did not want to show what the amounts were. It's just that I don't have the amounts. Some of those events are new. Some of those events are old. I'll give you an example, like for the music festival. We don't know what talent we're going to have yet. I don't know exactly what those amounts are going to be. I don't want to give you all amounts. And once I give you those amounts, you pigeonhole me into those amounts because I gave them to you. So I want to give them to you when I have an accurate accounting of what they are, but we've already budgeted money. And my last thing is this. Yes, for St. Patrick's Day, it's in-kind services. But guess what? Those individuals still get paid. They still get paid out of the general fund. It still costs the city money. So it's no different than the events that we have in front of us.
So
Thank
perhaps
you.
I wasn't clear, Mayor, and I apologize if I wasn't clear enough on it. No, I was simply saying when that resolution came, a statement that would have said we have 85,000 already budgeted would have precluded me even having to ask any questions, because that tells me the money's already budgeted. I'm not concerned with the line item cost. I just would have, and once again, this may be on me, and I'm sorry I wasn't clear with you about it. I would like to have known that the request was for 85,000.
Okay, no,
that was already budgeted.
Okay, yes, that's totally
I'm
fine.
sorry if I wasn't clear on that.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilman Sims, since we are revisiting deliberations, do you have any additional comments?
I'll just make a statement. these events are for the public, for the citizens. These events were the ones we've had were awesome last year. They build community, and I'm all for them.
Fair enough. I echo your sentiment, Councilman Sims. That being said, moving on to as far as
Councilman
new.
Box, can I respond to that? I am not
We have
saying that I'm
closed this
against these
deliberation
events.
on this.
Not,
Point
but
of
I'm
order.
not saying, he said that he's
Point
for
of
them.
order.
And
We're
I'm
done
not
with this
saying that I'm
deliberation.
against them. I just want to make sure that we have that clear. Okay?
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Item number 4 under new business, as we've already deliberated 1, 2, and 3. Item number 4 would be that ordinance 2023-05, Chapter 4, Buildings and Building Regulations, Article I, in general, Section 4-11, entitled Masonry Required on Structures in Certain Zoning Districts, is amended to clarify Ordinance 2007-18 adopted by the city. What I know thus far is we know what prompted this change. It is a cleanup of the documentation, the whereas of the existing ordinance. So it is just cleaning that up. So it's a housekeeping issue. Councilwoman Cuellar, do you have any concerns on this? Or
No, our city attorney provided the
Perfect.
explanation.
Thank you. Councilman Box?
No questions.
Councilman Sims?
None.
And myself, none. Okay. So since we've finished our deliberations on all of our agenda items, at this point, now keeping in mind where everything is, I would ask for an approval of the form of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the form of the agenda.
We have a motion to approve the form of the agenda. Do we have a second?
Yes, second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We've approved the form of the agenda. I would ask for the consent agenda to be approved.
I make a motion that
we
we
have-
postpone Resolution 2023.
One moment.
Public comment.
I apologize. Thank you very much, Lee and Aaron. At this time, we would take public comments on agenda items only that we have deliberated on. These would be in general questions, things of that nature about the agenda items that we've talked about this evening. Any comments about any agenda items? All right, we have no questions about agenda items now. May I ask for approval of the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
You abstain.
Yes.
Fair enough. All right. That being said, going into new business, item number 1, if someone could go ahead and introduce that.
I make a motion that ordinance 2023-02 be considered read.
We have a motion.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Make a motion that we suspend all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration of ordinance 2023-02.
We have a motion. Do we have a second on this motion? We do not have a second on this motion. Fair enough. We would just need to move on to item number 2, legal. And this would be, it has been read. Yep, okay. Outstanding. Item number 2,
Make a
please.
motion Ordinance 2023-03 be considered read.
We have a motion. Do we have a
Second.
second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, please.
Make a motion we suspend all rules that prevent the immediate consideration of ordinance 2023-03.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Sims. Roll call. Councilwoman Cuellar.
No.
Councilman Box.
No.
Councilman Sims.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Not unanimous. Thank you. If someone could begin item number 3.
Make a motion that ordinance 2023-04 be considered read.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next, please.
Make a motion that we suspend all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration of ordinance 2023-04.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion is second. Roll call. Councilwoman Cuellar.
Yes.
Councilman Box.
Yes.
Councilman Sims.
Yes.
And myself, yes. Finally,
Make a motion that ordinance 2023-04 be approved and adopted.
Second.
motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes. Item number 4, please.
I make a motion that ordinance 2023-05 be considered read.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I make a motion that we suspend all rules that would prevent the immediate consideration of ordinance 2023-05.
Motion and a
Second.
second. Roll call, Councilwoman Cuellar?
Yes.
Councilman Box?
Yes.
Councilman Sims?
Yes.
And myself, yes. And finally,
I make a motion that ordinance 2023-05 be approved and adopted.
Second.
motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. That finishes our agenda. At this time, we would accept public comments to the council on non-agenda items. Yes, ma'am. Of course you can.
Thank you.
Callie Gorjansky, 2181 Grants Mill Road. I've listened to 2 hours of problems and issues with possible things that we're concerned about. And I want to address the council and the community about, excuse me, an immediate danger that I perceive. I teach at Vestavia High School, and I was looking forward to the day off yesterday, President's Day, to do some much needed errands at my house on Cahaba River in Irondale. I mentioned both of those things regarding the problem with the landfill smoke. The smoke was directly headed to my home yesterday on Grants Mill. I had nosebleeds, nausea, and had to leave to go to my mom's house in Leeds after throwing up multiple times. It is interesting that the smoke is much worse in Irondale, than Leeds. My husband, who never has problems, also has headaches from the constant smell. I can only imagine the damage that this is doing to our environment around around the Cahaba. I'm lucky enough to live on the Cahaba River, and I worry about that damage. And I'm going to go through this quickly because you have my statement. According to various articles on AL.com, the air quality index readings have been over 500, which is, at certain times, which is above the AQI scale. In this area, as you all know, probably, I say we all know, this has been deemed a state of emergency by the St. Clair County. And I'm addressing this with my community because I would like to know if we have made any issues, or if there is any issues. I believe it's something that all the areas around the Cahaba River area, around the St. Clair County, Jefferson County area need to address. And I want to bring it to our attention and see if we can do something together. If our community leaders can get with the other community leaders and try to move forward with this and represent the citizens who are being affected by this smoke.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments to the council on non-agenda items? We have, yes, sir?
My name is Alexander Montoya, 313 Shadeswood Drive, Hoover, Alabama, 35226. First one to do that all night. So I'm the founder of an organization called the Irondale Cycling Project. So we formed this group. It's a nonprofit that we created recently around trying to organize some cycling events here in Irondale, Alabama. In reference to some of the events in question earlier on the agenda, the events that we're talking about hosting over are at the Zamora Temple, and what we're requesting to do is to use the road around the parking lot of the facility. We're not talking about organizing parades or concerts or any major events that are going to cost the city tons of money and resources. We're talking about the equivalent of a weekly rec league for bicyclists. So we're not talking about some major event thing here that's going to be a huge expense for the city. And the whole goal of our organization behind all of this was founded to invest and help develop permanent infrastructure for cycling and recreation in Irondale, Alabama. So I don't know about y'all, but I'm sure everyone in this room has probably been caught behind a cyclist on a road around here. Yeah, it bothers even me as a cyclist. So kind of what we're working on here is our project is to help find ways to help it all work together, make it safer and less inconvenient for people in certain ways, and provide opportunities for recreation in Irondale, Alabama through this project. So I would like for y'all to consider that, and I will be back at the next council meeting.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments in general comments on non-agenda items? With no other comments, yes, sir.
I have a question in general, and if a zoning case has a tie vote, what hypothetically does the applicant do at that point?
So, in legal, correct me if I'm wrong. So, it was introduced in the format of an ordinance. There's 3 stages to that, one of which is considering the ordinance read. An ordinance has to be considered read before it can be voted on. The second stage of that process is suspending the rules for immediate consideration. A lot of times things get read, but they never get decided on. So they might come back at a later council meeting. So it succeeded in being considered read, but it did not. We were unable to suppress the rules, and then we never got to the third stage, which would have been of actually passing the item. So at this point, to answer your question, I believe it has been considered read, and it could come back at a later time for a majority vote on the matter.
So it's been read. It's been read once.
It has been
based
read
on
once.
The rules of, okay.
The rules just weren't suspended to, that part has to be unanimous. The rules have to be suspended in order to grant immediate consideration.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, sir, for clarifying. If there are no more questions in general about non-agenda items, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Ms. Mason? Your case was similar to his case. It was considered read, but it was not able to be passed tonight. It can come up at a later date. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, second?
Second.
Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all very much for your time this evening.